Yo, what's up? This is Gabe's view coming to you live from the 210. Um, Today, we're going to do a little something called problems and how we fix them with Kyle Shanahan. We're going to be talking about Kyle Shanahan today. How y'all doing today? You doing all right? It's Monday, 1/13/24. Uh, did a little work today, 10-hour day, and then jumping on here. Um, yeah, it's good to be back, man. Talking about Kyle Shanahan. And just a couple of things, like I said, problems and how we fix them. Kyle, yeah, a lot of problems with Kyle this year. But mainly, and I think the root of it and where it all starts off with, honestly, for me in the off season, like I guess even before the off season, um, I would even say, um, like for the Super Bowl when he came out, like when he was a little drunk at that one thing, like that's just not like professional. You know what I mean? So like right there, it's kind of where you're letting your players know, like man, like you're serious. You want as a coach, as a head coach of a football team, you want to show your players professionalism at all times. That there's confidence at all times. You know what I mean? Professionalism, confidence. Um, that we're gonna be like we're like a mentor, we're like a leader. So we're gonna be doing everything that the leader does. So when we're over there like drinking before, I mean, I just think it's not right. It's not the right thing to do. You don't want to be drinking. It's like drinking on the job, honestly. So like people that have jobs, a lot of you guys are out there. So we can't just be drinking at work. Or, you have to go take a alcohol test or whatever. So you can't just it's something. It's not very professional from a head coach. So you drink at the house after hours. But yeah, it's just something that I'm not very fond of him doing. Especially before a Super Bowl big moment like that. Yeah, I could take the edge off or whatever, but yeah, honestly, for me, it's just something that like I don't like to see him do. And as my head coach, I would like him to clean that up. Honestly, we got to be a little bit better there in that area. We can't just be showing our players, hey, we're going to be doing this and that. As far as like drinking and stuff before the game, so like that right there is like off to a bad start. And then like in the off season, when the off season got going, just with like how he chose to handle like all the like the, I guess they asking the money from the players and who comes and who goes and like he just didn't seem like he was very involved in wanting to be um or he just I feel like he just like let them do whatever they wanted pretty much. Like they were just like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and he's like, oh okay, okay, just like they're just like walking all over him, all the players. So it's like, man, we got to clean that up just from like these guys just kind of like just doing whatever they want. So it's like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. It's like, man, that's not really like being a team. Like we got some guys that are bought in all the way, like full go or whatever. I get it, they got their contracts figured out or whatever. Or people got their stuff situated, others don't. But still, we can't just be like that. We got to think of it as a team. We have to think of resolutions to these problems. We can't just let that stuff kind of happen, where we're just like, hey, let these players just do whatever for so long and then let it drag out and let's just not practice and let's just not show up and or whatever the case may be. And then we show up for game day and we're just not ready. Like for the season, we're just not ready. It just like sloppiness from like I'm saying from the drinking, sloppy, just gets sloppier. I mean, the Super Bowl we should have had that game won easily. You can tell by the way it was. We held them to whatever many points. And then I mean 12-12. So like the game should have been won easily. But like I'm saying, just a little bit sloppy, just getting a little bit sloppy towards the end. And you just got to clean that up going into next year. If we really want to be good and back to where we want to be, um, coach wants to stick around or whatever, they're going to let coach stick around, whatever have you. He needs to get back to being more disciplined and, yeah, not letting these guys just do whatever they want, making sure they're listening. So that's like one of the main things for me. And then with the haircut, it kind of like not really good. So like I don't really care like if he has it all the way down like here. Like I don't care. You know what I mean? If you're like an average Joe or whatever, like, but you're like Kyle Shanahan, you're the head coach. Like everybody's looking at you. You're the leader. You know, you're what everybody's seeing right now. And then you got hair just over here. You know, I mean, you're I don't know how old you are, but you're trying to act like you're Nick Bosa's age, so like or whatever your homeboy's age, or like with the little kids nowadays with the haircut or whatever. You know, like I don't get it, whatever. But like you have to, like I'm saying, you have to hold yourself to a little bit higher standard. You're the head coach of the football team, head coach of a uh, national football league football team. You know, so you can't just like this with you're not showing the right standard. You're not representing yourself the right way to where hey let's lock in when this guy comes around. Like no, we're not gonna lock in. Like look at this guy. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not like I don't care. Like I'm saying, no, I don't care. If you're anybody else, like go ahead. Or like go ahead, even go ahead. But they're not respecting you, dude. They're not respecting you. I'm telling you right now, they're not. Just right there with the hair and stuff. So right there, that man, you gotta like clean that up, dude. Right there go a long way. And then another thing is with the like I was saying, back to the player coach relationship, like you choose to go and to weddings or whatever, and that's cool, that's cool. You go to the weddings. It's cool. You do whatever you want to drink with the players. That's not okay. That's not okay. You want to be there, you support whatever, and then you can leave. Like leave early. Like just take off, or like you drinking with the players does not set a good standard for them. So now they just think you're their friends, and they're not going to listen to you as much. When it comes time to it, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, no, you know what? Like we're cool. Like we're gonna listen to this guy. Like nah, we're cool. Like he's cool or whatever. Like, but it's not like that. It's a business relationship. You're the head coach and they're the player. That's the way it should be. When you're the head coach, they look at you. You're like a mentor. You're like a leader. You know, you could be like a dad or grandpa. Or like maybe one beer. Like you have a beer like one time, or like I don't know. I just feel a lot of respect gets lost when you try to do that with your players as far as head coach and player relationship. You want to be there for them, yes. You want to have that trust, yes. You want to build all that trust, right? You want to have that great relationship. You want to have that camaraderie, yes. But like you don't want that's not what you want, just to be out with your guys drinking and just be friends and buddy buddy all the time. And that's what I'm saying. Disrespect is lost. They think they're like, oh yeah, no, Kyle's cool, Kyle's cool. Like, no, like he's your boss. Kyle's your boss. You're supposed to listen to what he says. You're supposed to hold like be up at that standard that he's holding. And when you do that, it's hard to hold that standard. So like that's not, you gotta be better there. You gotta be their coach. You gotta be their boss, you gotta be their leader, you know? They're not gonna take you as serious if you befriend them so much. You're not gonna respect the standard. That weight, when you walk in the room, it's not gonna be like, oh, let me just it's not anymore, man. They're over there so just you goofing off or whatever, they're not gonna respect you as much. If you just separate, you have to separate the two. They're the players, you're the head coach, you're the boss, and like you know what I mean? Like you're the guy. And if you like I'm saying, if you mix the two so much, like that's when things aren't gonna work. And that's when things are gonna start the guys are gonna stop listening. Which it was like apparent this year. You didn't have control of anybody. You hired this one guy, he quits. He's quitting on the team mid game. I can go on and on. It's just so apparent from watching that guys aren't listening. Guys are just doing whatever they want. They're just too comfortable, man. Honestly, you just see they're too comfortable. Everybody's just like, it's harder to hold people accountable. And then people need to be held accountable. People need to be held accountable so they can grow. So if they lied, if they told you something, hey, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, and then they didn't do it, that means they weren't telling you the truth. And they don't listen to you. They're not listening to what you're saying. You're telling them one thing and they're doing another. They're doing their own thing. So like guys like that, honestly, I say we got to get rid of those guys. Veteran or whatever you have it, man. Friends or whatever you have it. We got to get rid of those guys. You got to get rid of those guys, or else it's just going to set a standard for everybody else. If these guys get to continue to like stick around and do whatever they want, not listen, and just, you know what I mean? Whatever, coach. These other guys are going to think they can do that. They're going to start doing it. They're just going to follow suit, follow suit. It's just going to be like a continuous cycle. It's going to be a continuous cycle. Unless we just get rid of them now. The guys who ain't going to listen, the guys who ain't going to buy in, hey, you're gone, man. You know what? You said you were. You didn't. You know what? Thank you for your time. We're going to have to let you go. Like, people got to be held accountable so they can grow, and then the business has to be held accountable so it can grow. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard so we know, you know what I mean? And then once you weed out these guys, these bad apples that don't want to listen, these guys that just want to do whatever they want, that aren't bought into the football team, that are just in it for themselves, that's when you bring in these younger guys who will listen. That's how you can fix it. Get rid of the guys who don't listen and bring in that don't listen and who aren't team, who are more selfish. And you bring in the young guys who will listen, who are all for it, who are all team, who are all ready just to buy in. Go full board to buy in for Super Bowl or whatever we got to do, championship football team. Because that's what it's all about, winning championships. So that's what I feel needs to be done. That's what God honestly needs to be done. And that's what I hope is done. Players and coaches. If you weren't listening to coach, next year is the new year. I expect Kyle to fix it. Be a lot more professional and demand that respect, honestly. Like I'm saying it like I said it, so if you weren't giving it, you're gone. If you weren't listening, if you said you were going to do something you didn't, you're gone. We need to have this standard, or else, like I'm saying, we're going to continue to get walked all over. We need to strive for championships. That's the only way with discipline. Like these guys said, they don't want to go to the meetings or whatever. I heard it before with Mike McDaniel. The guy don't want to That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're making millions of dollars to play the game of football. You're being selfish. Just go do it on a different squad. If you're with the San Francisco 49ers and you think you're going to be selfish and do all that shit here, just go do it with a different team. Kyle Shanahan, lock in. Get that respect back, dog. Coming to you live from the 2-0 Games. Y'all have a great night.